this next guest is evident of why this show
Yeah.
actually brings up the level of person that we want on our small business signature event. Would you like to introduce him?
Absolutely. I've really gotten to know Joel and really have appreciated spending time with him. Joel Olsen is O2 Group Ventures, and he was named the Business Person of the Year
Yeah,
for
we should get some, like,
2023.
Some celebratory
some fanfare.
something.
You got the
Wilt.
button over here. You got to figure out how to work this button.
Well, do I got a button I can press for some clapping and cheering and that kind of
Yes,
stuff?
if you know which button to push. You would probably push the fade back. But anyway, Joel is the CEO of O2 Group Ventures, focuses on profitable ventures and sustainability. And he operates several other businesses, include Sunrays Farms, Adaris Energy, the Montgomery Sheep Farm, Lowville House Inn, and I think that's in
Whoa, do you ever sleep?
Asheville. Isn't that in Asheville?
Boone.
Oh, it's in Boone. Oh, that's Justin territory. Our early entrant into the solar industry and helped shape the state and federal clean energy policies that made North Carolina the second largest market of installed solar by 2018. Joel Olsen.
Joel, there you go.
Yeah.
Joel, you earned that. You deserve that. And I apologize I couldn't get it to you sooner, but, you know, it's Wilton. I mean, what can I say? Joe, when Bill Russell said he wanted to put you on this show, I said, whoa, this is a special show.
That's right.
This isn't just for anybody. And then he read me some of the stuff you did, and I stopped him halfway through. Okay, no problem. Right? So you are a quiet entrepreneur, right? Walk me through how you got started. What did your life look like? You don't have to go back to 1962, but kind of walk me through what your life looked like that clearly you started operating small businesses.
Well, you know, I grew up in Charlotte, one of the few, and went to Myers
You're
Park.
that guy.
I'm that guy. I'm the one guy in the neighborhood who's from Charlotte. But graduated from Chapel Hill and spent a long time abroad. So I was out of the country for almost 18 years in Japan and in Norway. And
What were you doing there?
Well, in Japan, I had studied Japanese at Carolina, and I worked for a small government office, reported to the mayor, and we were working with, well, we had a new international airport. They needed a translator, and there was a sister city relationship. So I was working in local government, lowest on the totem pole, at 22 in the middle of a rice field in Hiroshima Prefecture in Japan. So that was lonely. I learned a lot. And then moved
But that
to
says something about you that you even wanted to do that.
Well, I know Norway changes and fixes the loneliness issue.
It does. It does. I ended up getting married, having 3 kids there for sure. But yeah, I moved to Norway. It was a wonderful opportunity to work for a company in one of the highest wage markets in the world, which is why I've never believed in outsourcing things to China when, you know, I've seen that we've manufactured electronic, products in Norway and been worldwide competitive. So, you know, this idea that you can ship everything somewhere else and get it made cheaply, I think is maybe a little bit of a lack of industriousness and innovation rather than doing the smart thing. I think we should try to make things here. And I've seen evidence of that in Norway. But in any case, that's where I got involved with solar energy. And I saw this company that was 5 minutes from my house, and the CEO opened the door when I was actually knocking on doors to find a job close to where I was living. And I was just amazed by the fact he sat me down. He's like, yeah, we've got 6 years of orders for everything we can make. And he says, I got Sharp, you know, the Japanese company Sharp, knocking on my door. They have been for 3 years. We just don't have capacity. The only thing stopping this company from growing is making more factories. So that's when I kind of had a kind of realization that, you know, there's a market out there for something different. And I've always been interested in renewable energy. So that got me started, and that kind of eventually led me to Cornelius. 2008, moved here with the family, and, you know, my wife is from Norway, And so one requirement was we had to be near the water. And
You could live with that.
that was a good decision. You know, as a kid, we'd come up here for the reggae festival, which was just magical, a fantastic event in the 90s or 80s. But anyway, so I came
So
back.
what made that move to multiple businesses? Because most business people that I know, they want to focus on their primary core business. It seems like you find yourself wanting to have multiple businesses. When did that happen?
Well, it happened much later. I mean, the truth is, you know, when I moved back, I honestly did not intend to start a business at all, but the recession happened, and the job that I had come back to the United States to work in, they were not having people stay.
And they certainly didn't want to pay Norway pay.
That's right. That's right. And so I found myself without a job. So the next day I started one, and that's, you know, after being gone out of the country for so long, I was nervous. I had no idea, you know, how to run a business in the U.S.
Okay, the 64-cent question. You start the business. How long before you generated revenue? Because my wife I used to tell her when I started a business, said, you need to now go get a job. And I said, I have a job. I just don't have any income.
Right. I was super lucky. I had a large engineering procurement construction company that we call EPCs in the energy industry, a company by the name of Pike Energy that, you know, basically contracted me out as a consultant. So it kept the lights on until I was able to develop our first project. And it was great. I was lucky. I mean, you know, you got to remember there was a lot of people out of work. Real estate was, you know, in the toilet. Well, I think we all should have bought some more real estate in 2010.
Especially on the water.
Oh my goodness. But it recovered, and luckily, you know, I was able to succeed, you know, with the help of a lot of people, including Senator Tarte here. And so what I found is, you know, I developed solar farms, right? We developed, owned, and operated these large solar fields, basically, that generate electricity and sell the power to utilities. And after a few years of doing that, I noticed that companies were either mowing or they were chemically mowing.
You needed a ground crew.
You needed a ground crew. But, you know, this idea, chemically mow, you know what that means? You spray everything with Roundup.
Right.
You know, which is
Environmentally unfriendly.
my wife was just like, you got to be kidding. So, you know, a lot of areas they chemically mow. So she said, you know, why don't we see if we can engage some of the local sheep farmers and give them more pasture. At the same time, we can keep the grass cut so it's not shading the solar panels. And that's how Sunrays Farms was started. You know, the first time we did it, there was a 24-year-old young man living next door who said, I want sheep. So we bought 14 sheep. He put them on our solar farm. 2 weeks later, the neighbor's hunting dogs ran underneath a hole in the fence and killed them all.
Oh, wow.
Really?
You know, so that was kind of our first iteration, and we learned very quickly to not leave holes in the fence.
Yeah.
Is that a workers' comp claim?
It should be. He was compensated, I will say that. But you know, we've learned so much, and it's just fascinating to combine kind of this idea of farming and clean energy generation on the same land.
And talk about Sunrays, because some people may not be familiar with right here in Cornelius. Talk about Sunrays Farms.
Yeah, well, you know, we've kind of headquartered all of the businesses out of Cornelius. And, you know, we were super lucky to be able to partner with Aquesta Bank early on, which is now UCBI. But, you know, they really facilitated our growth you know, in multiple companies. But Sunrays is located here. We have the grounds maintenance operation, which is the sheep that eat the grass, right? But we also have Sunrays Foods, because once we had all these sheep that were eating grass, the farmers were asking us, hey, can you provide us a market? You know, I don't want to, the longer you keep a sheep on the farm, when it's ready to go, the more expensive it is.
Oh, interesting.
So we started Sunrays Foods to provide a market for all these farmers. We had 22 of them across the state. that were generating, a commodity, right? A sheep, and they said, "Can you help us turn this into a value-added product?" So we worked with local processors, and we have lamb cuts that we, of course, sell. They're frozen as soon as they're processed, so they're super fresh. We have lamb salami, which has no pork in it, has no antibiotics, and it won the Good Food Award in San Francisco and the Our State Magazine Food Award. So that's been received very well. But to kind of bring Americans into this idea of eating lamb, we also host farm-to-table dinners. And so we've worked with some local restaurants, but we invite people out to our largest farm, and they can actually sit outside in one long table, have kind of a wine dinner with lamb or a lamb dinner with wine, either one, and get a tour of the farm and see kind of the whole, what we call agrivoltaic experience.
Say that again.
Agrivoltaics, agriculture
Got it.
and photovoltaics.
Right.
So sheep on a solar farm experience.
So do you have solar farms throughout the entire country, throughout the Southeast, or how does that work for you?
Well, I'm married, and my wife set one limit. She goes, "If we're moving back to the U.S., you are not going to be gone all the time." So my goal, and I would say part of my success is keeping things as local as we could. So everything is in North Carolina. We've got some in Virginia, but I can be home for dinner every night, and that's important to us.
So a guy like me knows nothing about that. I got to be honest with you. You know, Bill lives on a farm. I said, Bill, hey, I want to be the farmer that sits there and watches that grass grow and then roll it up into a big old, that looks like my kind of thing, Bill. And he said, you have no idea what happens to do all that. So I know I don't know what you do, but it sure does seem simple to me to just suck
work,
up.
Joe.
That's right. Suck up the rays, right? Walk me through the business. How does that work? Right, the mechanics of solar panel.
Well, there are two things with the solar panel. What's fascinating about it is every other form of energy generation requires something that spins. A turbine. So I don't care if it's coal or hydro or nuclear, or you're moving basically magnets around copper or copper around magnets and pulling electrons out. That's how you generate electricity. Except for solar, and solar is a solid state technology. You have basically theoretical particles, right? Photons, which have no mass and no weight, and when they hit very pure silicon has a fifth leaky electron around the nucleus. So when this photon hits it, it knocks an electron free, and if you accumulate enough of those, you can generate significant amount of electricity. So,
one more question.
Yeah.
How do you move it where you want to move it to? Now, this may be simple for you, but for a guy like me, I'm curious to know how you take that energy from that farm and then send it to Duke Energy or whomever so they can sell it. How does that work?
So imagine that.
Jeff, are you laughing at me for asking that question?
No. I send mine in an envelope every week.
Yeah, exactly. No, every solar farm has an interconnection to the local distribution line, that serves a smaller area, like a local area. The larger solar farms, which we have not done, but we see, are connected to a substation, which then goes onto a transmission line. And that power can be sent 50, 100 miles away.
Interesting.
Kind of like what's behind CVS.
Got it.
Joel, you've also been very involved on the transportation circuit, and recently we've heard a renewed interest in the Red Line. We've had a presentation at the Chamber of Commerce from Katz. You certainly had a perspective with me. What do you think about what's being proposed in terms of the rejuvenation of the Red Line idea?
Well, I'm very interested in the Red Line because if you think about it, the line that goes north from the city is really reaching out to the rest of the state. Whether you are coming from Southern Virginia, Mount Airy, Asheville, Statesville, Winston-Salem, Hickory, you are going down 77 to get to Charlotte or to get to our airport. And, our airport now, we're slated to have more than 60 million passengers go through the Charlotte airport. Without our airport, both
We're
both
Mount Airy.
states. We become Mount Airy.
Right.
We really do, and
We
it is
do.
it is so important to commerce, to business, to economic development. And so I just think the Red Line has a huge opportunity to not just connect us to the Charlotte Gateway Station, but specifically to connect us to an airport terminal. And this goes not just for North Mech, but anyone driving down 77 to be able to park and hop on a mode of transit, which, and don't let me stop here, is not going 25 to 30 miles an hour, but a mode of transit that is as fast or faster than driving. You know when you're going to get there. You don't have weather. You don't have traffic jams. So,
And you can concentrate on something else,
Get other
reading
work
or
done.
relaxing or whatever.
Or get work done.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
or get work done. But the key, I think, is you look at the traffic and the reduction of productivity caused by that traffic, as well as the emissions. If we could take those cars, have them park, and then get on a mode of transit that's faster than if they drove and more convenient, then we've got a real chance to achieve some of the city goals. Right now, 78% of the vehicle trips in the Charlotte area are single occupancy vehicles. So if we want to just improve that to 50%, which is the goal by 2040, we've got to do something. And the biggest point here is what we don't want to do is invest in something that looks backwards, that would have been new technology in 1920 or 1950. We need to do something modern. It's got to be convenient. And by all means, it has to be fast. Otherwise, I think the ridership will be low. And we've got a unique opportunity with this Red Line. And here, it's going to be extremely important to the whole Charlotte airport region to access all those people from the rest of the state coming down 77 to get them to the city center and to the airport. So I'm excited about it.
Here's one thing that people don't realize too, I think, and it's at least this number, and it's probably changed because this is at least 10 years old. We have people that come from over 15 counties every day to go to work in Mecklenburg County, at least 15 counties. So you think about a transit system that can move those people. Can't do it all by cars.
Can't.
And efficiently long term because we get the congestion that we're creating now.
Well, we've all kind of seen Atlanta, and just adding lanes is not going to solve the problem. So, again, 78% is one person in a very large vehicle driving. Even if you got, half of that number, two people in a car, that would reduce the cars by half.
Right.
So 3 or 4, and that's why, the new solutions that are available, there's something called microtransit, right? So it's still transit. It's just you're not waiting for a bus of 50 people to fill up before you leave. So you get 3, 4, 5, 6 people, you just keep cutting down that single occupancy vehicle number and increasing space on the highway for those who remain. So I'd love to talk more about that solution, Bill, if you want to ask me.
We've got about one more minute before we've got to change out, but I want to ask you about one other thing. You jumped into the accommodation business too, and you've got the is it a bed and breakfast in Boone?
It's the number one bed and breakfast in Boone.
I was fixing to say, and it's gotten some accolades. Share a little bit about that.
Well, when it's from 1875, so it is now the oldest home in downtown Boone. There's 11 acres around it, and when we bought it during COVID, we basically stripped it down to the studs. We re-insulated it. We put in the most efficient air conditioning, and then we put in a solar-powered microgrid. So we generate our own electricity on property. We have 6 Tesla Powerwall or batteries. So we're running off grid about 70% of the time. If for some reason the grid goes out, we don't. So it's we've won the Sustainable Energy Project of the Year.
Would you be like LEED's gold level or,
we have not paid for that rating, Jeff, but, we were lucky enough to get, North Carolina's Sustainable Energy Association's Sustainable Energy Project of the Year award. The Sustainable Tourism Award from the local Boone Chamber, and the highest rating you can get from North Carolina Green Travel. So it's sustainable, but it's also very luxurious.
Did you buy it because you wanted to put all of these sustainable energy into practice there, or is it a
Absolutely.
passion that you just wanted to have the bed and breakfast?
No, I wanted to make an example that
You
not
wouldn't say,
just
I can do this.
Well,
This can happen.
that not just the choir, not the people who support this would see. You know, with a bed and breakfast, you have people of all stripes, all political
Right.
persuasions, and they come here and they say, that makes sense. You know, this is not a political issue. This
Right.
is a economic common sense
Right.
issue. So I love that opportunity to expose kind of this to a variety of
So
people.
the last question I have is the Cotton Patch facility energy independent?
Yes, it is.
All right.
But only about 55%.
And my last question, do you drive an EV?
Yes, I do.
Yes,
Okay, I
Yes,
would
I do.
imagine. There you go.
Whoa. Joel, they're looking for a reason to pick on you.
No,
Yeah,
no,
hey,
it's
it's
that-
the best car I ever had. I mean, it's my own pickup truck. so.
Is it a Tesla?
It is,
Yeah.
but it has more room than our pickup truck. It's amazing. So
Joel Olsen, thank you so much. It's been, I did not know you until this process started. Bill told me I was going to want to get to know you, so you're on the radar, buddy. Thank you so much
well,
for your
thank
time.
you, Joe.
And Joel, I'll see you
Thank
on the
you,
way
Joe.
home.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Good to see you, Bill. Thank you.